What I love about Tron is every single thing. I'm a Tron super fan. I went to that movie in 1982. I was 11, turning 12, and I fell in love. I love the story. I love the technology. I love the creativity. I love Jeff Bridges. So for me, Tron is like it's like Star Wars. It's like Blade Runner. It's one of those films that just lives forever inside me, and I'm so proud to be here with Joachim, a part of a third Tron in 42 years or something. Yeah, pretty cool. 43 years, I guess.
Joachim, what new elements did you want to bring to Tron Ares?
I think that the original film and also Kosinski's Legacy that came out 50 years are both masterpieces. And, you know, coming on as to tell the next chapter in the Tron saga, it was important for me to keep some of that lore and the mythology, obviously, and elements. And I was so happy when it was actually Jared, you came up with like those scenes back on the original Tron grid in our film now, and like to be able to go back there and go back in time. And for everyone that works on the movie, we're all Tron lovers, you know, and to be able to go back there and relive it together with Jeff Bridges, you know, is some of the most fun I ever had and in my career, honestly. So it's that balance, you know. So what do we keep? Where do we go to the next level? Because it's also important as a filmmaker to create something original and move on. But I think like hopefully we have struck like a balance where the fans feel that they get served some of their beloved Tron, and at the same time, you know, it's a new chapter.
Awesome. Jared, what was your experience like producing this project? And in terms of your performance, how did you build Ares into a believable character and make it your own?
The best thing about producing the project was being able to have a voice. And I think it came in handy being such a Tron fan. I was able to selfishly push and fight and, you know, kick and yell and scream and make sure that, you know, something like the 80s grid stayed intact. First of all, my excuse just to be back inside that 80s film, really a childhood dream. But I also thought it'd be satisfying, not just for me, but for other fans of the franchise. So that kind of worked out well, that I was such a big fan of Tron in general and was able to kind of have a voice inside the room. And then just to do what I always feel like my job is, just to try to help make a better movie in whatever capacity that I can. There's nothing too small, no task too small or too big. Sometimes they try to get involved with, but also to recognize great talent like Joachim, and to support Joachim, and to, you know, sometimes the best thing you can do is to get out of the way, even if you disagree, because guess what? You can be wrong, and you have to trust the people that you work with, and that was, you know, that's not always an easy thing for creative people to do, but it's an essential thing for creative people to do, especially when you collaborate. And I'm glad that I had a chance to do that here with Joachim. And, you know, it was a great big group of people who really have a lot of love for the history of this film, for the mythology. So, you know, there was a lot of synergy, and it really just kind of a beautiful experience overall.
What about this film will resonate most with audiences, and why does it need to be seen on the biggest screen possible?
Ooh. Because it's fucking awesome. Yeah.
No, I think it's like, if there's ever was a film that should be experienced on the big screen, it's Tron Ares. Even like a Tron movie, I would say, because it's such an immersive concept, and watching it in the cinema, in the proper cinema, and like, you know, or even in an IMAX, is such a treat, and not to sound pretentious or anything, but I really feel that my art form is cinema, and that's one of the reasons why I keep doing these kind of movies, because it has such a big chance of seeing the insides of a theater, knock on wood, you know, and you get to paint on the big canvas, like, you know, the kind of movies that I grew up with, where I saw the movies that made me want to be a filmmaker in the first place. So I think, like, and also with the sound and the music, the Nine Inch Nails score, and to have it like really pumping and hearing it and in a social setting, and you feel it's a physical thing, you know, in the theater, the bass, everything moves through you, and yeah, this is a movie for the big screen.
What do you think it is about the original Tron film that is so enduring?
I think the original Tron film is so enduring because it kind of encapsulated our human fascination with all things related to the emerging computer tech world. And as science fiction has been something that we have used as parable for so many decades, it has been a way for us to work out our greatest fears and curiosities and imaginations. And so I guess as tech and CGI and artificial intelligence and the impact that that can have on film has expanded, you know, seeing the ultimate manifestation of that in a film, like in Tron, is a very exciting prospect. And so having someone like Justin and Jared and Joachim at the helm of that, knowing that they have the utmost interest and the budget to create the best version of that, I can understand how that could be like the ultimate excitement for a fan.
Gillian, what interested you most about portraying Elizabeth Dillinger, and what does she represent?
I guess Elizabeth Dillinger represents the voice of reason to a degree, and you know, she has a semblance of a moral compass, and represents the embodiment of fear for the future of her company, fear for the future of humanity, fear for the future of her son's mental health. You know, but there's that she also understands the world. You know, she comes from this world, and she really understands not just the dangers that he's getting caught up in, but also there is slightly a part of her that is a little bit curious, and a little bit excited and impressed. But at the same time, when she realizes that almost like the rest of humanity, we're excited and we really want AI to be in front of us, but the minute it is, we're like, oh no, it's too late, what are we doing? And I feel like that's kind of where she's at, is, you know, she didn't put the brakes on early enough. Like, we haven't put the brakes on early enough to actually make a difference.
Okay. Evan, can you describe your experience working with Joachim, and what were your early conversations about Julian Dillinger like, and how did you make the character your own?
Well, working with Joachim was fantastic. I mean, he's such a playful director and a lovable guy, and he's incredibly smart and knows how to make these films really well. And I think he has an intricacy and attention to detail that is really impressive for films this size. So I think it's and we got to play around a lot with the different levels, and I remember early on it was sort of a conversation of the relationship with. At one point, it was going to be my father, and then and then we it kind of came around.
Somebody came to their senses.
Yeah, and it's so much better if he's a kind of mama's boy and he's kind of seeking your love and approval, and we had this father figure who was sort of in the distance that was looming over us, and the grandfather figure that was looming over us, and all this pressure and intensity and drive to succeed that makes you not think clearly. You just want it so badly now that you're getting ahead of your skis. So
How did the giant practical sets help you guys shape your performances?
Well, the giant practical sets on the one hand, were so giant that they felt intimidating, it's quite something to step into a film of this size and this budget, because which I think that Evan did such a phenomenal job. Is his performance rose to the size of the no, but in a really good way. I can't imagine like a smaller performance or a less energetic performance filling that space to be able to carry you on the ride that and there's an intensity to him that I think is really important that you get the sense of very early in the film, to understand the precariousness of the situation. And so on the one hand, yes, we had practical sets in that, but on the other hand, it was like an airplane hangar with blue interior walls for the, so it was both helpful and unhelpful all at the same time.
yeah, I agree. There were certain things that were practical, like the giant tank that shows up and Ares is lowered down. I was like, wow, how much did that cost? But there's other things, it's kind of fill in the blanks. And they had one laser thing in the transfer bay, but they didn't have the other one. So it's kind of like you had to you got the gist, which was really great, and the amount of money and again the attention to detail on the sets was incredible. My desk was awesome. It was beautiful.
You mean my desk?
Your old desk, my desk now. It had screens in it, it had a keyboard. They're lighting it up. It was really awesome to be able to react off of that.
Yeah.
What's that?
I designed
You
it.
designed it. Yeah.
What about this film will resonate most with audiences, and why does it need to be seen on the biggest screen possible?
Well, it's such a, the conversation that it elicits is one that we're already having on a daily basis in real life. And so, it's a perfect time, whereas the first Tron film was all about imagining a future. This Tron film is about, imagining something that is actually here in our present and that we're having to grapple with on a daily basis. And so it feels incredibly prescient, but also it's clearly done in a very competent and thrilling way by the team that put the film together. And it's it's a wild ride, and it has the most incredible soundtrack by the Nine Inch Nails, and the CGI, and also the performances are so fantastic, and there's lots of chase scenes, and there's it's pretty much something for everybody. And so if you can see it in an IMAX theater, I would say do yourself a favor and do that. And if not, see it on the biggest screen you possibly can, because it's really awesome.
Or VR.
Yeah.
Put the TV on your nose and just be inside the movie.
That's such a good idea. Forever.
Forever. Just put it on repeat.
Well, I wasn't quite born yet when the original came out. And so I got to know it more as a cultural phenomenon and through fashion, actually. It has had such a major impact on culture. And so it wasn't until this movie that I really became fully immersed in it. it's rare to have such a massive franchise, one that spans decades and has withstood the test of time. So I feel like the thing about Tron, it's for everyone. I mean, I've met so many people throughout this process who have like a real childhood connection with it, and other people who didn't find it until they were adults, like myself. I loved working with Joachim. It really takes a very specific kind of director to be able to juggle all of these things. He was able to create this really beautiful homage to this legacy while also creating an opportunity for us to usher in a whole new audience to the franchise. And I was really, I'm so inspired by his ability to take something this large while also honing into something that feels quite soulful and personal. And I was surprised that, that I got to be a part of something that was all of those things. I learned so much from working with him. He's amazing. He's hilarious. We spent a lot of long night shoots, 6 weeks, where he was shouting into a god mic in his Norwegian accent, telling me to imagine all sorts of things that weren't really there. And I couldn't say better things about working with him. It was life-changing for me in terms of everything that I learned. Eve Kim is on a mission to fulfill her sister's legacy, Tess, who unfortunately had passed. And it's that will to find the permanence code that she finds herself in this unlikely allyship with a program, the most advanced program known to mankind. His name is Ares. And it's through this kind of Bonnie and Clyde relationship that they are each forever changed by this experience that they have together. I think I'm always really fascinated by regular people who find themselves in an extraordinary situation, and in that unexpected moment in their lives, they have to become superhuman. And that's Eve for me.
Yeah.
We had so many unbelievable designers working on this. I've never, ever worked on anything that had these resources, the thoughtfulness that went into every single detail. I mean, that light suit, I've never worn anything like that. It was tailored to every part of my body in ways that, like, I'm uncomfortable with how intimate that light suit was. You become one with the light suit, I'll just say. They built us these special seats for us. It's basically a bike seat attached to a tripod, and that's the only way you could sit in those light suits. I mean, all of it, the light cycles, the recognizers, the identity discs, it was so fun to work with. It was a dream. It's an actor's dream to have all that stuff. A specific scene or moment that was impactful, well, physically it was tremendously challenging. I think if I could go back in time and revisit the moment I read the script and saw all the times Eve Kim is running, I think maybe I would have had second thoughts about my prep. I mean, we did all kinds of training to be physically ready for this, but that kind of running that you have to do is the sort where you are running for your life, and you have to be able to do that not just once. If you can imagine in life, if you're running so hard, the hardest you possibly ever could, and then if you have to do that 20 times, you can imagine how you would feel at the end of that. So all those sequences where we are actually on set, on location, doing a lot of our stunts, and we had an amazing stunt team, but a lot of that we did ourselves, which I think you can see it in the movie. You can see that it feels very human, and we're hoping that the audience actually feels like they are doing it themselves, that they are also on the ride, they're also running with us. So I'm excited to share that with everyone. I'm hoping that this third installment of Tron, the thing that will resonate the most is for the diehard fans. I'm hoping that we're giving them everything that they want and then some. And I am really hoping, again, to be able to invite a whole new group of people into this world. And myself included, I was someone who wasn't an original Tron fan. I wasn't born yet for the original movie. And it really was through the process of filming and making this movie that I
totally fell in love with Tron and became this Tron head diehard fan myself. So how great, like that's what a movie should do in the best case scenario. Movies are for everyone. They connect you to so many different people. And already this movie has really proven that we can connect over something. So that's really exciting.